Welcome to the High Fae Housewives podcast. I'm Blakely.
And I'm Kylie.
We are currently working towards our masters in the Maasverse, and our current course is focused on Crescent City, House, Sky, and Breath by Sarah Janet Maas. Today we're chatting chaps 41 through 48.
Warning, while we may be your silly gal pals, we don't recommend listening to this podcast around little ears or ears that may be offended because we say bad words and shitty things. I have a question for you, Blake.
Ooh, okay. Starting early.
Of all the different types of magics that we know, what would you have? Broad fucking question.
Okay. I want to be a shadow baddie. I'm a shadow daddy, you know?
I support that.
I just feel like I'm a little darker. I mean, I wouldn't mind some starlight, but I want to be a shadow baddie. What about you?
I would be torn between earth magic because plants, and then I feel like animals would come to you as well. So you know what?
So
That's
I
my
don't want
answer.
that. I don't want earth magic.
As somebody that feeds a possum and stray cats and a lot of birds, that is the magic for me.
I can see that. Um, yeah, I think I'd go with shadow baddie still.
Not winnowing. Would you want to be able to teleport?
Yeah, because I don't like leaving my house. We know this. I don't like to leave my house. But one thing about leaving the house that I don't like is when it's time to leave. There's this awkward time where it's sometimes you stay too long because you just are avoiding leaving, the process of leaving. So winnowing would be great where it's I had a blast and it's time to go.
That would be top tier for Irish goodbyes.
Which I love an Irish goodbye. So winnowing in real life world, not a fae world, would be ideal. I mean, I live on an island, so everything's fine.
Literally on an island, not just an emotional one.
Just not just my own isolation. I actually live on an island, and winnowing would be ideal in real life. But if I lived in a fae world, who's to say we don't? I would be a shadow baddie.
I support it.
Mm-hmm.
Earth magic. That's my shit. My shit.
That's your shit, girl.
This shit is bananas. Anyways, now relax those shoulders, unclench that jaw, clench that clam, and let's get into it. Chapter 41. 1 week later, Rune, Hormack, and Bryce were at the Ox training facility so Bryce can learn to teleport. Everyone is still looking for a meal, but he is an expert at hide and go seek. Cormac tells Bryce to summon shadows, but she insists her magic is broken.
I think we need to explore teleporting in the Maasverse. You know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Being able to teleport is very, very rare in Crescent City. Let's take a look at teleporting in the two other series. In ACOTAR, instead of teleporting, it's called winnowing. It's a form of magic where you can transport yourself to a different location. Only the super powerful Fae can do it. Lucian, Eris, Moore, Tamlin, the High Lords, the Mortal Queens can also. After they signed the treaty, it was gifted to them by the Fae. And, of course, we have Feyre. As can also winnow, but his is more through his Shadow Singer abilities. In Throne of Glass, we have two twins, Connell and Fenris Moonbeam, that can transport themselves. In Empire of Storms, Fenris describes it, no one knows where it comes from, what it is, but it lets me slip between folds in the world. Gross. Only short distances. Sorry. Only short distances and only a few times before he's drained. It makes you wonder how winnowing was passed through time. Now, there is a joke that Reese's last name is a funny one, and people have thrown in Moonbeam, which let's just sit with that for a second. What if Maeve did reproduce? We know Moonbeam twins were forced to service her. While Fenris had light hair, Connell was dark. If those two had a baby, think of the abilities that would be passed down. Winnowing, Daemati, dark powers, shifting. It's a crackpot theory, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. Resand, Janet, Moonbeam.
Naturally.
You know?
Can you imagine signing that name?
RJM.
Back at Bryce's apartment, they watched the footage from 2 months before Danica's death. Bryce and angel baby Lahaba left the room, and Danica darted to a shelf, pulled up a book, took some pictures, tapped one of the pages like she found what she was looking for, and then went back to her seat like nothing happened.
hmm
Declan was able to pause the frame and figure out the book was Wolves Through Time, Lineage of the Shifters. Everyone studied the still frame of the book. Cormac pieced out when he got a call. It was old, but the title indicated it had been written after the arrival of the Vanir. Declan shares it predates our current publishing system, but as far as I can tell, no other libraries on Midgard have it. I think it must be a manuscript of some sort, perhaps a vanity project that got bound. Bryce asked about the book on wolf genealogy. Bryce said she needed the book, but Jessica hung up on her. Jessica sent the book anyway, though. The book goes back to when the Northern Rift opened with the first of the Fendir line, Niklaus Fendir and Ferris Helen, which happens to be the page Danica was interested in. They can't figure out why Danica was looking into names being lost to history because all they have is historical records from 5,000 years ago, but nothing on the Fendirs before someone named Katra. So let's look up their name meaning, shall we? Katra is pure or innocent, and that's not the name I'm interested in. Then there is the first of the Fendir line, Niklaus, which comes from the Greek title Nikolaos, meaning victory of the people. And then we have Ferris Helen. Ferris has Arabic origin. It translates to knight, horseman, or cavalier. Ferris's last name is what I'm interested in most. The last name Helen, spelling variant of the classic name Helen, the etymology of the name has been linked to Greek word Helene, possibly meaning torch or light, or Selene, meaning moon. I also saw the meaning being sunbeam, which is interesting as Fenris from Throne of Glass has the last name Moonbeam. I will say names can change with time, either from lack of recording or to hide something. My maiden name is Erwin, which is derived from urban, whenever my family crossed over, allegedly, because my family is a hot mess about record keeping.
Oh, God.
The Prime does say in a moment, we did unspeakable things during the first wars. We yielded our true nature, lost sight of it, then lost it forever. Who's to say that Fenris Moonbeam didn't change his name so nameless was his price for recording history? Maybe that book, Wolves Through Time, Lineage of the Shifters, was written by Fenris. Let me tell you why I think it's possible that Fenris Moonbeam wrote that book. First off, a reminder that Fenris is a wolf shifter. In Norse legend, Fenrir was a wolf so monstrous that only a magical chain could hold him down, and that's where Fenris derives from. But back to the Maasverse. At the end of Kingdom of Ash, Fenris mentioned there was a kingdom to the east long ago. They believed in such things. It was a place of peace and learning, a beacon in a distant and violent part of the world. Once the Library of Orinth is rebuilt, we'll ask the scholars to find what they can about it. We could reach out to the kingdom itself, see if some of their scholars or leaders might want to come here to help us. And then he offered to travel there, to travel as their emissary, perhaps to work through all he had seen and endured, to make peace with the loss of his brother and make peace with himself. I think it's possible as a way he made peace with everything that happened at the end of Kingdom of Ash. And I kind of feel like this aligns with like my wholesome theory of Petra as well. We're just giving them good history.
They deserve it. Okay, they've been through enough.
It makes me very curious about this kingdom to the east as well, but that's like curiosity for another day.
Yes, it was interesting that you put this in here only because was looking up everything about Lorcan, and I also just last week highlighted this whole thing. So there's a lot here for sure that I think we'll have to talk about in other books, potentially this one.
Specifically because, they say an eastern kingdom, and then the people on Aurelia, they call it Aurelia, but in the southern continent, they call Aurelia the northern continent.
hmm
So that sounds like they're saying western continent.
There is And there was something I read with there's more continents than just what we see. And
Yeah,
on
I mean,
top,
obviously there
yeah, yeah. But in ACOTAR, because I'm rereading it, there's definitely more continents than just the main continent and the little tiny and Highburn. Like there's more. So there's a lot of untapped world, which means that there's untapped world in Crescent City as well.
which also means that there is possibly different forms of fae, which I have questions about later in this episode.
Yeah, we don't know.
Drags.
Love the Drex. We obviously don't know everything. And there's a lot more Fae lineage and things that we'll need to learn.
Bryce didn't tell Hunt over the phone what she found or what she was about to do. This silly goose went and snuck into the den to talk to the Prime. Immediately, he was like a wolf. She asked him why Danica would be interested in the Fenrir lineage. She asked if Danica had asked him about his first ancestors. He told her he never knew what became of it. He shares people have forgotten their names because he said we did unspeakable things during the first wars. We yielded our true nature, lost sight of it, then lost it forever. Became what we are now. We say we are free wolves, yet we have the collar of the Asteri around our necks. Their leashes are long, and we let them tame us. Now we do not know how to get back to what we were, what we might have been. His grandfather told him, he told Sabine, who didn't care, but Danica did, and he thought she could lead them back to the glory days. Bryce's time is running out, and then she tells the Prime he should talk to Sabine about Ethan. Turns out he didn't know that he was kicked out. And then Bryce ran home. Cormac was waiting for her and Declan. Mordok and 6 other Dreadwolves almost caught him at an intel pickup. At least they learned that the hit on the spine was successful and that they attained the Asteri's new mech suit prototype, and they're shipping them from the Coronal Islands. Looks like the gang is going to Ghidra. I do want to say something really fast about uh, the Prime saying their leashes are long and we let them tame us. Fenris was the one that could winnow teleport in Throne of Glass. They really have lost themselves if that truly is their lineage.
That's true. Like it stopped. And Connell could also do it. I can't
Yeah.
help the whole when he said wolf points to the heart, just goes once again that Danica, that little kernel of Danica really is living inside Bryce's heart. That theory that we brought up a couple episodes ago. There.
Maybe totally rogue thought, but like maybe whenever Danica like touched the quartz on the gates, like that power just like really stuck in Bryce when she did her drop.
Yeah. Well, because we're both rereading Maasverse stuff too, like kernel of power is such this thing, like the High Lords give it to Feyre, the kernel of power at the end that Mala gives to Aelin. Well, like that kernel of power is what got Bryce through at the end, and I think it's significant. But kernel of power, it's all going to come back. So the Cornell Islands. So cornel could mean a couple different things. It could be referring to the anatomy relating to the crown and the head, or it could be astronomy based, relating to the corona of the head or a star. Coronal holes are a source of geomagnetic activity, which, knowing what we know about magic, where there is a lot more of the geomagnetic activity, there would be raw magic. But the base being on Ydra is even more interesting to me because Ydra comes from Hydra, which means water and was an island. And in ancient Greek mythology, Hydra was known as a many-headed serpent, and the island was historically significant for its natural springs, which I thought was a nice little tidbit. I don't think it was a coincidence that the Asteri decided to move everything here. Chapter 42. As Bryce was walking into your meeting with Celestina, she got a phone call from Juniper. June tore Bryce a new asshole because Bryce, Princess of the Valbaran Fae, decided to call the head of the ballet and have them make June a principal, which, while well-intentioned, did not go over well at all. Bryce is like, maybe I have a meeting, I'll call you back, and Juniper's like, actually, please do not. Well, apparently, Bryce was really into swinging her big dick title because that's how she got her meeting with Celestina as well. She wanted to propose taking Hunt away temporarily to go visit her parents, and she lied her pants off, but she got her way. Actually, Celestina told her to take him home permanently because he has been a bit of an Eeyore and is really ruining the vibes. When Bryce called Fury, Fury told her she wasn't getting in the middle of it because she says, and I quote, "I have a lot of good things going on right now. June is one of them. I'm not jeopardizing any of it or her safety." What does she mean? What good things are going on in Fury International Woman of Mystery's life?
The war is going in her direction.
Maybe.
But she answers the phone just like us, like, no hello, just immediately gets into it. Like, you and I just, hey, I need to talk to you, or just me. So, have you been thinking about just anything other than the word hello?
Yeah, no lube, just straightforward. No pleasantry.
Yeah, raw dog all of our combos.
We really do. Bryce went to tell Hunt the good news and that she would see him tomorrow, but not without first getting a little finger blast in, as one does. You are you are very welcome for that pertinent information. But she saw behind and said she had amber eyes, with people believing that Tam Tam is potentially a Lysandra and Adian descendant. I just want to mention that Tam has emerald green eyes, like Lysandra, with amber flecks, which possibly come from that Ash River gold.
I wonder if that's even Lysandra's true eye color because
Right.
she doesn't know what she's supposed to look like.
It's true.
I also think it's interesting that SJM described the Hind's eyes as amber here, but constantly refers to them as gold. If gold and amber are interchangeable, I'm curious what and who we have met that has amber eyes as well. We know gold eyes are aligned with witches and Bog, but what else had amber eyes? I didn't see any references in Throne of Glass, but in ACOTAR, we have the Naga who references the Dark Mother sending them a meal when he gazed at the surreal. Makes me curious if they have Bog blood in them. And then there's the Golden Queen, who was ancient but provided them with the other half of the book. Helion had amber eyes, but his I feel are more having to do with his powers in Prithian. And then we have Eris, who had amber eyes, which I pointed out in chapter 19. Maybe his eye color is what made Reese give him a chance. Once again, the switch of using gold eyes and amber eyes to describe the Hind is a really interesting choice, which is why I'm looking at Eris again.
It is, yeah. Well, I think the Naga definitely had dog blood in them. I mean, their blood was black,
Right.
so which you obviously know. But like, yeah, I'm wondering what Eris's true lineage is going on in that Autumn Court.
Eye colors matter. And just to use amber and gold interchangeably, like that detail is that's a specific one because amber and gold sound very different.
Yeah, she likes to play with that a little bit. Like she's also done the same thing with like Reese has been mentioned saying his eyes are so blue that they are purple and now or violet and now it's just violet all the time. It is weird how she kind of interchanges the eye color a lot. What does it
I
mean?
wonder if that's something for us or a mistake on her part.
Hmm. I I want you to know all the amber eye talk. You're like going through it, and I'm like, and you're saying the people that have amber eyes. In my head, I'm like, you want to know who else has amber eyes? Brennan and Papa Sorengale.
You're right, but not for the
I'm right,
you're
but
not
it doesn't.
you're not wrong.
It just doesn't matter. So, mhm. just a reminder, guys. They have amber eyes. So, the Prime gave Ethan a little ring-a-ling-ling to get the deets about his banishment. He tells him what Sabitch did, and then the Prime is like, hey, pal, do you want to live with the Fae frat boys? Or I could make you an alpha of your own pack. Ethan really needed to think about this, though. So he headed to the astronomer's building. I don't know why I said building. No one answered, so he just walked in. He was told by one of the mystics that he was not there. So she let him know about the astronomer's whereabouts and told him if he wanted to know If it was true what was said about Connor, he could find a necromancer. But then Ethan realized the mystic was a wolf. Dun dun dun. Ethan is not at all happy about this. He said he could get her out, but she was like, nay, nay. So then Ethan decided to swipe the box of fire sprays on his way out because he makes great decisions.
He really does. You know what? Ethan pisses me off. And I, once again, I'm re-listening to the Throne of Glass series. It's like Sarah Janet just loved Adian's whiny personality. So I didn't even hate Adian, but you've rubbed off on me so much.
That's
And
what they said.
the similarities to Ethan are actually really insane. Like their whiny, self-centered ways. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. They
I
both
hate
suck.
them both.
They both really,
Yeah, for
really,
sure.
truly suck. Day and Hunt start flirting on the mental bridge again and start trying to guess each other's identities, but it soon turned into rebel talk. He let her know about them going to the Coronal Islands, and she tried to get as much info out of him that she could. But she was soon bent over, hissing in pain, and then gone. Rune figured out that someone woke her up for some very rough sex. She ends up coming back afterwards, and Rune tries to make sure she was okay. She admits that she hates the guy that she's fucking, and he disgusts her. But no one knows. Back to flirting, and then they end up staying on the couch to sleep next to each other. Little cutie patoots.
So Rune says today, no, you seem like someone crafted of air and dreams and cold vengeance. I'm guessing you're in sky and breath. And then Day asks, why do you say that? Rune tells her, you remind me of the wind, powerful and able to cool or freeze with a half a thought, shaping the world itself, though no one can see you. Only your impact on things. It seems lonely now that I'm saying it. This seems like an interesting remark based on Lysandra in Empire of Storms mentioning that she wants to shift into a plant or become a bit of wind. You remind me of the wind is just so specific for a powerful shifter like that. If Lysandra and that bitch Adian ever made a child, like this is almost like a nod to them. Like it's possible.
It is possible.
Anything's possible.
That's what Walt Disney said.
Chapter 43, and this is a very heavy action chapter, so you guys, let's not judge our lack of things to dissect.
It's a lot of heavy action for a few chapters.
Crotty Formac teleported everyone to Egypt. To Yidra. Words are so hard. Which left him a little tired. Everyone he transported did not enjoy the ride. Turns out that bitch Pippa has her claws in the rebels there, and she is in charge of the Valbaran front. No word on the Thunderbird or her brother. Everyone followed Cormac to check out the suits. Hunt starts calling out the specs while Bryce questions if anyone is worried about giving this to Pippa. Pippa pops out and is just radiating bitch and tells Hunt that they're waiting and with bated breath for his analysis. Then turns to Cormac and says, I wonder when you would try and turn them against me. She very clearly doesn't trust Cormac. They go back and forth about Emil and not trusting each other. She told him Emil is a waste of resources now that they have a better weapon. Hunt shares that the suit metal has the same makeup as Gorzian stone. It absorbs magic. They can draw first light from the ley line and turn it into basically immediate brimstone missiles while never running out of ammo with a veneer wearing it like an exoskeleton. Immediately, Pippa is excited and says, the veneer deserve everything coming to them. Bitch. With this technology, they definitely don't need Emil. Pippa tells them that Emil is somewhere they would fear to tread, and Command is cool with leaving him there. Pippa lifts a hand and has her human homies execute 7 Vanir rebel sympathizers and tells them the first round is always a Gorsian bullet. Everyone is shocked because they were helping the rebellion, but Pippa gives no cares, then leaves to go to a meeting. Bryce then says to light it up to Hunt and destroys the suit with his lightning. Hunt did just that and more and made Bryce wetter than the River Queen's permanent state. Hunt destroyed the suit and then some. It's absolute chaos, and then Cormac gets shot with a Gorsian bullet, so now he can't teleport them out. Pippa is pissed and ready to kill some people. Bryce used her starlight to blind people so her friends could run. They get on the boat, but needed to fuel up. Bryce is pissed at Cormac for associating with them, but he explains that's why he wanted to find Emil. She's ready to be done with him, though. She warns Rune about Daybright because of all of this. They then see a dog on the shoreline. Baxian barked once as if in warning, which means the hind isn't far away. Shout out to Baxian. Once again, I think that's why I was mad at Hunt because Baxian was just trying to be a homie, but damn, Hunt is just like nene.
Yeah, he's not interested, and it just is definitely a blind spot for him.
I mean, I get it, but you are in the court of dreamers now, bud. You need to be a little nicer. Just a smidge.
Chapter 44. Well, it was a shit show. Hottie Cormac was shot by a Gorgian bullet, so Nene to teleporting. Bryce hasn't quite figured it out, so she can't. Hunt can't fly them out because the Hind always has snipers. A torpedo hit their boat. Omega boats were on their way. The Hind and her goons were close by. It's too sunny for Rune's shadows. Hunt can't use his lightning because they would all turn into fish and chips. Oh, and the Hind was heading their way solo on a wave skimmer. So shit's not working out.
I have some questions.
Naturally.
Because Therian pulled out a pair of binocs to see binoculars. Sorry, guys.
Pull out your binocs.
He pulled out binoculars to see 2 miles away, and I just feel like Therian should have really fucking great vision. In the water, you would have anticipated it being murky. I don't think that they have streetlights underwater. So it's like, why do you need binocs? Is he not a form of Vanir? Does he need glasses?
He wears transitional lenses.
But I trust Therian. I know he can't wear transitional lenses. I'm really curious about Therian's vision. Do you think he's got one of those like special lids underwater like Manon has for flying?
Maybe.
I know that you love talking about eyeballs.
Oh, you saw me shudder. I literally shuddered
I just gave you the ick.
so badly, and I quit listening because of it.
But I have another really important question.
Yes, go.
So, how heavy do you think Hunt is when he's wet? Because like he's got to have a really big wingspan, and they're feathers.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this. Yeah. You think that?
No, I don't care how heavy his wiener is wet. I want to know about his actual wings.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to add. I mean, light as a feather. I don't know. The
Or
feathers are.
I feel like how could he even get out of the water? Like how can he lift himself up? Do they have special training like here, like learn how to fly when your wings are wet?
I mean, ducks do it all the time, and they're fine. So I think angels
Okay,
are.
so does he have a water repellent? But he's like submerged in water. I've thought about this in Great Lakes, and
But I have ducks out on my lake all the time, and they get submerged in water and seem to fly just fine.
okay. So are we saying that the angels have duck feathers? They've got like
Maybe they're super
because I know
magical.
he does fly in the rain because he had Bryce look at how pretty it was,
Mhm.
and is it different if the ducks are floating. They're not like hanging out underwater.
They
His
go
wings are
underwater.
underwater. Is he like back like this because they're heavy?
I didn't sign up for this.
Can he swim normally when is he like a fucking turtle in the water because his wings are so heavy?
With his Crocs out, waggling about.
Crocs up, arms out.
Yeah,
That is the visual I have. Like just Hunt struggling in the water.
poor little Crocs. They're in sport mode at least.
He wants to swim fast.
He has to. I feel like he has light up Crocs.
For sure. Just because he's like, I'm lightning boy. Look at my Crocs.
No, now I'm picturing. Actually, it's worse. I'm now picturing Hunt with Lightning McQueen Crocs. You see
Yes.
Ka-chow!
Do you think him and Bryce have matching Lightning McQueen Crocs?
Maybe. Maybe.
Do you think like their foreplay is Bryce vacuuming in her Lightning McQueen Crocs. So it's like honoring Hunt and then reminding that she's a badass that can vacuum up archangels.
Yeah.
That's his kink. That's so specific, but that's his kink.
Like, anytime he sees her vacuuming, it just really gets him going with her Crocs.
He's like, you put those Crocs on, you dirty little slut.
So the Hind played it really cool, and it was like, "You guys are a bunch of dirty rats." And then she pulled out a white stone that she said she pulled out when she saw Sophie Bernasse before she died. She tossed it into the sea, and right before Bryce was about to blind the bitch, a boat was there, and then told them to get in. The lady in charge asked if Therian called for them, and he didn't. But she says their oracle sensed they needed to be somewhere in this vicinity. So they came, that's what she said, and got the message. The light. Rune mind-to-mind chats and tells Bryce she needs to calm Hunt the fuck down. He goes on and says it means that he's going ballistic in the way that only mates can when the other is threatened. It's what happens to them and what's happening now. Your true mates, the way Fae are mates in your bodies and souls. That's what was different about your scent the other day. Your scents have merged as they do between Fae mates. So Bryce needs to calm Bryce needs to calm his ass down. They find out that they are on the Depth Charger, one of 6 city ships of the Ocean Queen's court beneath.
6, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Not quite holy.
Not quite. The way that I am shooketh that you didn't go on and on about scents here and mates is I'm very shocked. I thought for sure while writing this, I'm like, oh, Kylie's going to have a lot to say.
We can only say so much about it at this point. Like now they are mates. Their scents have merged. They're mates. They're gonna have all the mate interactions. He's an alpha hole. He's territorial. I'm beating a dead horse at this point because I'm right.
Truthfully, you are right.
Just be really humble.
I
Chapter 45. Ethan learns that there is not much he can do to help the wolf the astronomer owns, and he is a big shit for stealing the fire sprites, if he gets caught. Naturally, Ethan and company open the box, and everyone understands why he stole them. They debate on letting them out when Declan grabs a hammer and does the deed. The first 3 tried to tell him don't for the 4th, but it was too late. He opened up the dragon, and now she owes him a debt. And of course, I want to talk about the dragon.
naturally.
I want to talk about her features first. So
Okay.
she has hair like the darkest iron falling in curling waves around her delicately featured face. Her tan body simmered, the wood table beneath her charring everywhere. She was naked. She had eyes, they blazed crimson, more boiling blood than flame. And then she had red and gold scales flowing beneath her skin. And I just wonder, what realm do dragons come from? We have sea dragons in Throne of Glass. And at the library in Rifthold, it has what was described as dragons that grew out of either side of the stone wall, 4-legged dragons, not vicious bipedal wyverns like those on the royal seal. So that was how on the side of the library. So dragons existed at some point in Aurelia.
Where did they go?
And I have another thought on that, but not in this chapter. The next one. Hun was in a full-fledged heat and ready to burst from his angry mated ways. But Rune can't think about that and starts asking questions. He learns from the officer that helped them, Officer Sendez, that the ships are stealth ships fueled by the Ocean Queen's powers. They end up outrunning the Omega sub with camouflage and the fact that their radar picks up burst light. They share that they are not aligned with Ophion and that the Asteri do not know about any of these happenings, so keep it that way. A Medwitch arrives to help Cormac out. In the canyon that they were hiding out in, they see a crumbling city. Rune asks where they are going, and Sendez said to rest. And then, once Omegas clear the area, wherever they wish, they say to the Eastros. Bryce then asks if her and her glowing friend can use the biodome that they passed earlier. Sendez clears the biodome and gets the door sealed off. Rune doesn't understand, but Sendez, move those eyebrows up and down. So Faustus is the ship that was sent after the gang, and Faustus means luck and fortune. Because we are an educational podcast, this also popped up when I was looking up the meaning of Faustus. Faust, hero of one of the most durable legends in Western folklore and literature, the story of a German necromancer or astrologer who sells his soul to the devil in exchange for knowledge and power. Imagine if that was like the astronomer's real name, because that's something we never learn. He's just a
Mm.
sorcerer that we never get the real name of. What if this is just like S Jam's little clue to his name? It's a wild stretch, but I'm taking a crazy chance.
Doing a crazy dance, but I don't think that's that wild. Hmm.
I'm also really intrigued by the Ocean Queen knowing that her power is equivalent to everyone's donated first light. I think that's pretty significant. I feel like that could be really useful someday. Like, she's also an old gal because she's the only one that can verify what Bryce said about a statue brought in from a sunken city said to be almost 15,000 years old. It was said to come from the original beneath, capital B. Do you think, like, maybe that the ocean was the original beneath before a portal opened up in the Melanoid Trench?
Maybe because, like, we know when Aelin falls through the worlds, there is a world that is underwater in general. Maybe it is just this world. And there used to
She
be
fell through time and space.
yeah, and there used to be a city down there, so we know that.
There's also markings in that city, and I wonder if, like, when you fall through space and time, it's cities that, like, heavily utilize word marks.
Mhm.
So maybe, like, when you fall through space and time, it's cities of the fates.
I think it's possible. Chapter 46. So, Hunt needed to use his dick real bad. He was in full on lightning mate protective mode, and Bryce is like, I know just what to do. You can put things of yours into things of mine. So they went to Pound Town under the sea. Their power was also getting in on the action. Actually, they fucked so hard that they teleported into a different room.
Bryce says, then make it happen. She said, then her hands sliding for his balls. His fingers pressed her clit, began stroking. Bryce kneaded his balls and a shudder went through him. Another. On the third stroke, she squeezed hard, right as lightning streamed from his fingers in. And I just think there is so much ball talk in these books. It's like SJM has a ball obsession, kind of like that kid who drew penises on everything and super bad.
Yeah. So she wanted, in these books, she wanted to raise awareness to irritable bowel syndrome. That was clear. As well as like the male ball and how,
Yeah.
yeah, like she really is like, wow, we need to pay more attention to these balls.
It gets more because she's like, Bryce needed his balls and a shudder went through him. Another. On the third stroke, she squeezed hard, right as the lightning streamed through his fingers. And then this happens. He falls through space and time. Not just him. Just him.
And then this happens.
This
She's gone. So falling through time and space and light and shadow. The only reason I'm bringing this up isn't for ball awareness. It is because, once again, proof that they are able to travel through time. So all these people arguing with me on the internet, suck my balls.
she has the horn on her back. Of course she can travel.
People just like to argue with me. I don't know what it is.
Well, she's got the fucking horn on her back, guys. Like, she literally, she's a gate.
She is.
The fact that anybody would argue over that is insanity. What's your address? I want to talk to you.
You're going to be talking to a lot of people on the interwebs, okay? They get mad at me a lot. So, over at the Frat Faye house, the boys learn their new roomies' names. The triplet fire spikes, Rithi, Milana, and Sasa. And they're descendants of Persina Faal.
Falula Geller.
Blue.
To be fair, they are crazy names. I looked up the meanings. There's nothing significant. So she just put these in there to make you struggle.
Bloody blue, bloody blue. And the fourth was not a fire sprite. Actually, she was a fucking dragon named Ariadne. Good old Ariadne. My Ron Burgundy's coming out. They want to get to the bottom of how they fit in those little rings, and the gals let the tea spill that he is actually an ancient sorcerer. He put them in the ring so they will light the way when he descends into hell. Well, the sprites do anyway. There isn't a lot of hope to get the mystics out, especially the wolf one. She's a fave. They do not want to go back, but the wolf slave thing is getting in the way. So I hate myself. I don't know what happened. The drag tells them that he tortures the mystics, and if you want answers on Connor, you need a necromancer. Also, she can't escape because her slave tattoo won't let her shift without him allowing it. And the amount of slave talk that I just said, like slave for you, is just in my mind. It's going, and I just need you all to know. Like Britney Spears with
That
Baby
video
Oil.
plays in my mind.
It-
I get it.
It's perfection.
So Ariadne is a feminine name of Greek origin, meaning most holy. In talking about her people, she said, such names are for the old ones who dwell in their mountain caves and sleep the long slumber of true immortals. What if her people are the wild men of the Fangs and it was just a well kept secret that they didn't even reveal to Erewhon even? Like when they're battling in Kingdom of Ash, like they didn't want to give away that they're drags because like they still want to protect the people that are still safe and hopefully save them. So they wouldn't reveal their true form. Wild theory, but why not?
Who's to say, you know?
Because dragons clearly existed in Aurelia, and they are shifters of some sort, so why not those wild men? Or maybe they're the wild people of the Fang.
Or it
Big swings.
could be that long lost continent. It's not lost, it's just far away.
It's just a continent full of dragons.
Yep, just drags, living their lives. Bryce and Hunt went to Hottie Cormac for answers on how she was able to teleport. She explained she was banging his brains out and then they teleported. Cormac thinks it's because their magics merge and maybe she needs Avalar's power for teleporting because her magic came from the gates, and that's unknown territory. Hunt brings up that the Prince of the Pit said they hadn't yet explored what their powers could do together. They were about to go for round 2 to test it out, but Commander Sendas came to give the grave news that they were too late and Sophie drowned by the time their divers picked her up. Wah, wah. Wah, wah. I meant to do a Debbie Downer, wah, wah, but instead I went high. I'm not high, everyone.
I don't think that that's the tone that Cormac would say.
Wah,
he felt.
wah.
Once again, we're going to talk about mates.
No.
Okay, so Hunt describing feeling Bryce's magic truly does scream carranam and more than just chosen mates. He didn't know how to describe it, the feeling of her magic wending through him, like he existed all at once and not at all, like he could craft whatever he wished from thin air and nothing would be denied to him. Did she live with this day after day? That pure sense of possibility? It had faded since they teleported, but he could still feel it there in his chest where her handprint had glowed, a slumbering kernel of creation. Even with reading this book and the next one, it feels like Bryce can do so much more with her magic. The pure sense of possibility, a slumbering kernel of creation. Between that and what Cormac says, I don't know if it's Hunt specifically or simply energy. Your power came from the gates. It's something we don't understand. It's playing by unknown rules. I feel like the Ori could help with this somehow. It's mentioned in 2 different series. It has to play a factor eventually, especially because the Thotham King was trying to figure out Rune Starlight with the Ori. I feel like that is going to be a key for Bryce unlocking something.
So I want you to know that my ADHD went out of control during this time period. And when we're talking about like the kernel of creation and it like glowing, all of a sudden I'm now picturing Hunt's cum and that it would glow. It's because you said a kernel of creation. And now I'm just picturing glowing semen. So it's like a black light in real life.
I mean, I would never want to take a black light to Bryce and Hunt's room.
Oh my God.
Absolutely not.
But what if you don't need the
They're
black
filthy,
light?
you know.
Yeah. What if you don't need the black light because it's just glowing, you know?
It's a constant kernel of creation.
Yep. I'm sorry, everyone.
The next time, and next time it's like shot on your chest. Oh, your kernel of creation's on me.
Just picturing like fucking it's Starfall when like the star splooge starts hitting people in the face and it's glowing but that's how
It's all soul semen.
yes. Just a little kernel of creation.
We just this is a beautiful event, and we just turned it into like one of the nastiest events ever if it's all soul semen.
I really appreciate that you're saying we're in this when it's not your fault.
I am trying to help you, but if you want full credit, all yours, baby girl. This is not one that I'm going to sign off on.
Why not? You know, I think it's just something we need to explore a little bit more. It's just a kernel of creation, glowing.
Chapter 47. Cormac went to see Sophie for himself. Everyone went for support. Bryce thought about her soul while Cormac told the story of how they met. Therian asks if he knows what some number carved into her upper bicep meant. It was an assortment of numbers and letters that had been carved roughly an inch below her shoulder, left unhealed, cut deep. He doesn't know, so Rune will put Declan on it ASAP. Cormac knows he needs to find a meal ASAP. I was really into like, there's urgency here.
ASAP. ASAP. Let's go.
And so Bryce asked if he was ready to be a single dad. He hadn't thought that far ahead. Bryce asked if he should warn their families, but essentially they're going to go home to pretend like nothing happened.
ASAP.
So they had to tell everybody ASAP. Bryce was studying her nails ASAP. But her studying her nails is such a foreshadowing move of her. Just, she knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Therian went to chit-chat with Sendes since he too was a high-ranking mayor official. Sendes asked why his queen was involving herself with the rebels, but Therian tells her that she wants something that they also want. She lets him know that his opinion is safe here and that the Ocean Queen is well aware her sister is moody. They talk about the difference and how the Ocean would not set herself up, just the Ocean, would not set herself up as a replacement for the Asteri, and how the Ocean Queen remembers the time before them and would like to go back to that. Therian asks for Sophie's body, and Sendes asks if the River Queen has any necromancers because that's the only reason to go to such lengths to retrieve the body, to reanimate it. Therian doesn't know what she needs at work, but Cormac is the one who has dibs on her body, so now he needs to figure out what to do. Sendes tells him that he could be more and that they are there for him. Therian definitely does not want to go home. Guys, this is a heavy info, not a lot of like dissection.
Do you want me to talk about kernel of
Nothing to
creation?
die.
Do you want me to talk about kernel of creation again to really spice this up? Or
Well, I want to know how Therian's kernel creates. Rumel in the room with the others trying to sleep had Day reach out and seemed to be worried about him because she heard of the attack on the rebel base. He let her know he was safe, and then he asked about that bitch Pippa. She basically says that she's crazy. Unfortunately, no one else is leading the cause, and then talks about Shahar and Hunt being the only ones to ever do anything close. They get on topic of what the Oracle said to Rune about being the last of his bloodline and how he's accepted it. Dave tells him that he'd probably be a good father. Good for him. Based on his fucked up date, Day starts telling him a story to help him sleep. Rune fell asleep and clearly Day had too, so he went to her and ended up scaring the shit out of her and then asked her about the end of the story. Day seemed like Rune crossed a line, and then she told him the end of the story and left him behind. And I'm going to read you guys the whole story.
I want a dramatic reading or I don't want it at all.
Once upon a time, before Luna hunted the heavens and Solus warmed Kathona's body, before Argenis blanketed Midgard with water, and Erd twined our fates together, there lived a young witch in a cottage deep in the woods. She was beautiful and kind and beloved by her mother. Her mother had done her best to raise her, with her only companions being the denizens of the forest itself, birds and beasts and babbling brooks. She grew older, strong, and proud, but a wandering prince passed by her clearing one day when her mother was gone, beheld her beauty,
Beauty.
and wanted her desperately to be his bride. She had no interest in princes, or in ruling a kingdom, or in the jewels he offered. What she wanted was a true heart to love her, to run wild with her through the forest. But the prince would not be denied. He chased her through the woods, his hounds following. As she ran, she pleaded with the forest. She loved so dearly to help her, so it did. First, it transformed her into a deer, so she might be as swift as the wind. But his hounds outraced her, closing in swiftly. Then the forest turned her into a fish, and she fled down one of the mountain streams. But he built a weir at its base to trap her, so she became a bird, a hawk, and soared for the skies. But the prince was a skilled archer, and he fired one of his iron-tipped arrows. It struck her breast, and where her blood fell, olive trees sprouted. As her body hit the earth, the forest transformed her one last time. The forest turned her in. The forest turned the witch into a monster before she hit the earth, a beast of claws and fangs and bloodlust. She ripped the prince and the hounds, who pursued her into shreds.
I want you to know you just took Elizabeth Evans's Elena voice, and that's what that was. It was 100% same tone, everything.
But I want to say, considering we know Lydia Servos is telling us this story with her witch lineage, it makes me feel like this is the story of her mother. We know her dad was a dick. So this guy firing an iron-tipped arrow and the ending of the forest turning the witch into a monster, ripping the prince into shreds, is what she wished her mother would have done. And it's kind of like a warning to Rune, like, you're getting too close.
I could definitely see that. There is a theory out in the interwebs about this story. People think it's about Elaine. Do you remember how in the Book of Breathings addressed her, it said, "Hello, fanged beast and trembling fawn"? A lot of people thought the story feels like Sleeping Beauty, and guess what? SJM saved to an Elaine Pinterest board a Sleeping Beauty image. So
I don't think that this story has been compared to the Weaver in the Woods, and that's a hard no. I just said that's wrong. No, it's just wrong.
it's just no.
I
No
say
means
no.
no means no. I also love that in the beginning of the story, once upon a time before Luna hunted the heavens, once again proving my theory that she is Deanna. So thank you for that. Chapter 48, which is part 3, The Pit. Nobody could figure out what the fuck is on Sophie's arm, and everyone is confused that the Hind was not at their apartment waiting for them. But guess who did make an appearance? Baxian. And Baxi Boy wants in on their little rebel shenanigans. They denied him, and he parted them with, "When you fools want answers, let me know." They were about to wrestle in the sheets, but then Hunt hits her with, "How about you tell me what the fuck you know about Emile, and are you insane? Sending her to the Viper Queen?" So, Bryce has been busy doing some shit.
She's a sneaky snake. Not much happened to dive into in this chapter. Once again, a lot of action.
Thanks for giggling through our journey with us. Today, we have new episodes every Tuesday. Join us next week as we get into chapters 49 through 56 of Crescent City, House of Sky, and Breath.
Make sure you follow us on social media so you can have all of our latest updates, theories, and more new book goofing. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and give us a review wherever you listen. All links are in our info, you giggling gal pals. We will see you next week.